Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the post-lunch session of today's workshop. Our next speaker is Professor Mamata Dolui. Last day, she has given a talk on cellular automata and computer architecture. Today, she will continue her talk on computer architecture, cellular automata, and security. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, Supriti, thank you. Sir, I'm stopped presenting. Yep. Yeah, I've shared my screen. Is it visible?
No.
It was visible, but not now.
Yeah. Is it now
Maybe
visible?
No.
no. Oh yes, coming. It's
Not yet.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it's visible.
Today also we are having a power problem and all those issues are persisting. Anyways, okay, today I'm going to start. Yesterday, I have started the lecture on computer architecture, cellular automata-based solutions for exascale architecture. Today, I'll also continue on these, some more on these. Yesterday, I have discussed about the cache coherence verification problems in chip multiprocessors with large number of ports. Basically, we have targeted homogeneous CMPs, like where all the ports are of same type. Today, I will discuss about some more challenging solutions, like we are targeting here heterogeneous CMP system, where different processor ports may employ different types of cache coherence protocols. Here, first of all, I am assuming a simpler case where the different processors are employing different types of invalidation-based protocols. Like one may employ MSI, one may employ MESI, one may employ MOSI, this kind of thing. So, there's a challenge if how we can integrate those different types of protocols together, and how we will manage the protocol operations together. The existing solutions, they're basically preserving only the common protocol states. For example, there are two processors, one is employing MESI and one is employing MOSI. So the common states are MESI, so they are preserving the states only MESI, the O state actually they are removing. So this also hampers some of the performance issues. So first of all, we target how we can incorporate different types of protocols, how we can integrate them, and then we actually devise a solution for coherence verification in such system. For example, here, what we can do, we can group the processor into a number of clusters. Those are following similar coherence protocols. For ease of understanding, I have shown here two clusters, cluster 1 and cluster 2. The processors in cluster 1 are implementing same protocol, say MESI, for example, and processors in cluster 2, they are implementing MOSI protocol, say. So accordingly, we would collect their states. We collect the states for coherence verification. We can collect them into two different CA segments. Accordingly, based on number of clusters, we can increase the number of CA segments. We can feed the states into the CA for configuring the CA rules accordingly, and then we can run the CA just as the way we did for earlier one. For Snoop-based system, we had taken out the states from the caches of the processor, and accordingly, we select the CA rules and run the CA. By checking the LSB of attractor, we can conclude whether the collection of states are coherent or not. Here also, we are taking similar kind of thing. These states are being fed and they are used in the CA for configuring the CA rules. the rules, the CA are run for CA segments are together considered for the decision. Similarly, in general, if we have P distinct protocols implemented in the system, we need to have P clusters, and accordingly, P attractors for the CA segments and their LSBs, we need to P number of LSBs of the attractors we need to consider for decision making. So that has been discussed over here. In general, for P distinct in a system of n number of processors and P distinct protocol, we need to have P number of clusters. For n cells CA that we employ for the design is clustered is segmented into P number of components, and those CA are run parallelly. Finally, the LSB of attractor are considered for decision making. So that the example that I shown over here for a 2 cluster, we have assumed 2 different protocols has been implemented in the system. So we have considered 2 clusters, and we accordingly form two CA segments, say CA1 and CA2, and we run the CA accordingly for the certain number of time steps, and the LSBs can indicate the presence or absence of fault. Here, that I was telling is solution for CMPs with thousands of processor cores, where some processor may employ MEI or MSI or MESI, MOISI, or those kind of protocols. So we can design and develop a solution around the regular structure of cellular automata. We can accordingly group the processors, and we can employ separate verification unit, like those who are following MESI, we can just take their states into a CA segment, and who are employing, say, MOISI, or their states would be fetched to the another CA cluster, which can run and process to indicate the presence or absence of any fault in the coherence verification logic. Now, this is one kind of thing where we have assumed all the processors are implementing invalidation-based protocol, variety of invalidation-based protocols. But what is if the heterogeneous CMPs have incorporated cores in which some of the core are implementing invalidation-based protocol and some are employing update-based protocol? So integration of some invalidation and update-based protocols, it needs some more attention. How we can integrate 2 radically different protocols into the system. Just before going to this, I am showing the state transitions for the MESI protocol, where this state M stands for modified, E for exclusive, S for shared, and I for invalid, as already we know. And for Dragon protocol, Dragon is an update-based protocol. Here, the state transitions for Dragon protocol has been shown. Here, there's a state called shared clean. When this state shared clean is reached and another state is shared modified, when this shared modified state is reached, I'll just explain. Suppose a block has performed a modification, which state would be in modified. And then, as it is an update-based protocol, not an invalidation-based protocol, on an update, it will not send any invalidation. It will send the updated data to all other sharers in the system. All other processors who are sharer of the same block, it will send the update to all those processors. So its state will change from modified to shared modified after sending the update. And those other processors who are getting a copy of this block, their state will be in shared clean state. Shared clean state, it is clean with respect to the modified copy, but it might not be same as that of the main memory copy. It's upon whether the main memory is updated or not. So shared clean state, it holds a clean copy of the block, but it might not be same as that of the main memory copy. Similarly, this shared modified state, it is holding the last written copy of the block. it is also, in that case, memory is not up to date. So AIM and E, these two are the same common state as that of the MESI protocol. So this is essentially the state transitions of the Dragon protocol. Now, how we can integrate these MESI and Dragon protocol? These are two examples of invalidation and update-based protocols. So what we have done here, there are certain protocol operations associated with these protocols. For example, in MESI, we have these protocols, protocol operation send invalidate. When a processor gets this, receives this message send invalidate, when this operation is activated, it sends invalidation message to all other processors when it performs a write. Similarly, when this operation get invalidate is in action, what it sends invalidation to all the processors who are get update. It updates the block when it receives this update message implementing a Dragon protocol. Now, for a Dragon processor which is implementing a Dragon protocol, these are the two usual operations: send update. When a processor is updating a data value, it will send the update message to all other sharers of the same block. And when a processor, when receives such a message like get update, it updates the block on receiving such message from other processor which is actually performing the update operation. So we have added this operation get invalidate into this processor implementing Dragon protocol to safely integrate such processor implementing Dragon protocol with other processor implementing MESI protocol. When a processor implementing Dragon protocols receives such a message like get invalidate, it essentially marks the corresponding block as invalidated. So we have used these two additional operations for processors implementing MESI protocol. We have added these operations get update, and for processors who are implementing operation like get invalidate. Now, how they are work? Suppose we have grouped the processors into group A. The processor, say we have three processors P1, P2, P3 in group A. They are implementing MESI protocol. They are implementing an invalidation-based MESI protocol, whereas processors in group B, they are implementing Dragon protocol. Here we have considered P4, P5, and P6 are in group B. Now let us consider this sequence of operations. Suppose first one, P1 performs a read operation. P1 belongs to group A, so P1 will be in exclusive state, whereas P2 and P3 the state of block B in P2 and P3 will be in value that means absence. Block B doesn't exist in P2 and P3 as that of MESI protocol, since it is not actually reached by the by Dragon protocol. So it will reading is only by reading. If it is after a modification, then it should change the last modification. It should be shared modified. But here the processor P6 is reading from the lower level memory, so its state would be shared in for processor P6. And now see here this state P1, it was E earlier. E is the exclusive state. Only one processor can hold a block in exclusive state. So here it changes to shared state as there is another sharer in shared clean state. Now see the operation 3 is a P3 writes. P3 performs a write. So P3 will hold the block in modified state. It will send invalidation to all the processors. All the processors in group A and group B also. Copies in group A has been marked as I, and here also ID. Operation 4 is P4 reads. Now P3 has the Macy protocol, and following the Macy protocol, when P4 reads, its state would be shared, and P4 would be in shared clean state. Next, operation 5, P5 writes. See here, P5 is following our update-based protocol. It's a Dragon protocol. So state of P5 would be one in shared state and another in shared clean state. But this update would be sent to Dragon protocol. Its state is holding shared clean, but it is updated with the last modified value as modified by P5. And also P3, which is holding the block in shared state following Macy protocol, it will also receive the get update message from P5 and accordingly been updated to this current value. So is it clear from the example how the protocol operations are working? A processor which is implementing an invalidation based protocol, when it will modify, it will send invalidation to all the processors in the same group and in the other group also. Similarly, when a processor following update based protocol does some modification, it will send the update to all the processors in the other group also. This way we can integrate the Macy and Dragon. One is the invalidation based protocol, another is the update based protocol. Once we can do this effectively, we can then reduce the problem of coherence verification to a single coherence protocol having this all these distinct states, like the states of invalidation based protocol like Macy M, E, S, I, and the distinct states of Dragon like shared clean, shared modified. So it basically reduces to a 6-state protocol. So we can, the way we devised coherence verification solutions earlier, we can easily devise similar mechanism for verifying whether the collection of states are admissible or not. The way we did it earlier, same way we can do this. So what we did over here, we have just reduced the problem to similar to a known problem, and then we devise a cellular automata based solution. Since here the number of states are larger, so CA rule space, we need to accordingly choose the rules properly. Next, I will discuss the design of a secure CMP system wherein we have targeted the design. We have employed CA for the design of the protocol processor. Protocol processor is the heart of the cache coherence controller. It is essentially a finite state machine which computes the state of a data block based on the inputs, like what is the current state of the block, what is the current operation, it is a read operation or a write operation, from where the operation request is coming from the processor, for the same processor or from the other processor through bus. So based on this input, the protocol processor, it computes the next state of the block. Now, if there's some fault in the hardware logic of the protocol processor, might be a single stacker fault kind of thing. So it might end up with a wrong computation. So here the cache coherence controller logic has been shown. It's a complicated logic. Here this CC we have shown as a block. Within this CC we have the protocol processor PP. It is the state machine actually. Based on the current inputs, bus write or processor write, current state, all these input, it computes the next state which is being updated into the system. For example, for ease of understanding, let us consider a system of 4 processors. Here C1, C2, C3, C4, these are the caches of the 4 processors. Initially say block B is an invalid state in all the processors. Now if P2 performs a read operation, C2 will hold the block in shared state and all others should be in invalid state. Now this behavior we can simulate with a cellular automata. We can design a cellular automata based protocol processor. We can replace this conventional PP with a cellular automata based PP. Now what is the advantage? This PP sometimes is subjected to hardware faults like stack at fault, stack at 0, stack at 1 fault in the signal lines. This fault in the PP may lead to major inconsistency. Suppose this state is ideally it should be shared, but it may be wrongly computed as modified. So unnecessary invalidation will be broadcast. Or the other way also, suppose it should be ideally modified, but it has been wrongly computed as shared. In this case, invalidation broadcast will not happen. So the data state will be inconsistent. Here, the PP ensuring high fault tolerance is the desired one. So it demands some radical change in the design approach of PP. We have employed cellular automata to design a fault tolerant PP. What is the requirement? The state of cellular automata, it represents the state of all cached copies of the block. Just you see over here, these are the states. So I have written over here is invalidation, invalid state. We can represent it with the binary code. Suppose we have represented this state I as 00. So it will require, for the 4 caches, it will require 8-bit representation of all the states in the 4 caches. This can be represented by the current state of a cellular automata. And if we run the CA, the next state of the CA can represent the next state of the block B in all these 4 caches. This is the principle we have used over here. And the CA runtime should be as minimum as possible. This is our target. This read-write operation, this actually triggers the cache line state updation. With every read-write operation, the cache line states are being changed. So if we can represent the current states of a block in all the caches by a CA, and based on the input, CA we will accordingly configure the CA with appropriate rules. The CA would be run, and the next state of the CA is going to represent the next state of the block after the operation, read-write operation. What would be the correct state of the block that should be represented by the CA? Let's take an example with the same 4 processors. Here C1, C2, C3, C4 are the caches of the processors P1, P2, P3, P4. Here we consider the simplest case MSI, where we have represented the state M with 1 1. S has been encoded as 1 0 and I has been encoded as 0 0. The methodology here described with the for the MSI protocol, but it can be extended for any of the cache coherence protocol that we have discussed so far, MESI, MOSI, MOISI, anything. Suppose initially block B is absent in all the caches, which can be represented, which is equivalent to the invalid state. So block B is in invalid state as if in all the caches, which is actually represented by this all zero state. For this I, we use 2-bit representation. Yeah, 0 0. So accordingly, we would require for this four core system, to represent the cache states, we require 8 cell CA. So this is the CA, the initial state. It represents the state of the block in all the 4 caches. Now let us consider a sequence of operations. The first one is a read by P1. We configured the CA rules like this. The rule selection I am coming to next. Suppose I have selected these CA rules for these cells. Now this CA is run with this as the initial seed. The CA would be run one step. The next step of the next state of the CA is this. It's 1 0 for that corresponds to C1, indicating that block B would be in shared state. After this read operation by P1, block B would be in shared state in C1, whereas block B would be in invalid state in all the other caches like C2, C3, C4. Okay, now these forms our current state. The next operation, if we consider, it's a read by P2. So this is used as the current state, and we configure these CA rules based on the operations and other inputs. Now, if this CA is run one step ahead, it will produce the next state like this. It should be 1 0 for the P1, and P2 has read. P2 has become a sharer of this block, so it should be the state of block B should be shared in C2, and it is invalid in all other caches like C3 and C4. Now suppose the next operation is a write by P2. So P2 would be in P2's cache. C2 would hold the block in modified state, and all others should be in invalid state. So from this, we configure the CSL rules like this, and we run the CA one step. The next state of the CA is like this: 1 1 in C2 and 0 0 in all others, indicating that C2 is holding the block B in modified state, and all others are holding the block in invalid state. Similarly, this is not visible. The last one is the fourth operation is a read by processor P4. So when P4 performs a read, P2 holds the block in shared state, and P4 also becomes a sharer. So P4 will also hold the block in shared state. So accordingly, the next state of the CA would be 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 1, indicating P2 and P4 are sharers of block B after this read operation. So this can simulate the behavior of the PP for setup operations. This way we can design the cellular automata based protocol processor, which can exactly simulate the protocol behavior following the MSI protocol. Also, this can be extended for other coherence protocols. Now here, actually from this we can see what are my current state and what should be my next state. The CA rules are selected accordingly, so that from this step, in one step, we can produce the like this. This is the basis. So read operation 0 should be 1. This other RMT is similarly for the other cell I1. This RMT 010 is 1. It should be 1. 101 should be 0. 100 should be 0. 010 is 0 and 000 is 0. Rest of the other RMTs are don't care. This is only based on the, we have the current state and we have to configure the CSL rules such that in one step we can reach to the desired next state. We know the current state and the next step, so we need to have a mapping between this. Since we have a lot of don't care RMTs, we can end up with a lot of rule options. So we have defined this table based on the different operations: processor read, bus read, processor write, bus write. These are the 4 possible operations we need to consider for changing the state of the protocol processor based on the current input, whether the current transaction is a read or a write operation, whether the read or write operation is coming from the current processor or it is coming from some other processor through bus. So based on this input, we have derived this number of rules. Any such rule combination will work. So for processor read, we have to take out one from this row. We can take any one of this from this row and any one rule from the second row I1 for the corresponding 2 CSLs. For bus read, when a processor sees this read request from some other processor, we need to choose rules from these 2 rows, one from this row and any one from this row. Similarly, for processor write operation, when the current processor, say ith processor, is performing the write operation, the 2 corresponding CSLs would be configured with any one of the rule from this row and any one of rule from this row. And for bus write, similarly, we can select the CSL rules. So once we have configured the CA, we will just run it one step to get the corresponding correct next state of the protocol processor. Here we have shown the state transition diagrams of the CA resulted out of these operations for read, write. This is for say P1 read. Here we have assumed a 2 processor system. 4 cell CA we are configuring. Figure A, it represents processor read by P1 read. The leftmost one we are considering as processor P1 and the rightmost 2 bit that corresponds to processor P2. We are assuming this. Suppose initially the processor, the 2 processors P1 and P2 are holding the block in invalid state. None of them are having a copy, and P1 performs a read operation. So its state after 2 would be 10 in P1 and 00 in P2. So as a whole, it would be 1000. This is represented by the state 8. Accordingly, has been incorporated. We have the transitions we have shown by this highlighted box. the CA in figure B, it has been configured for some other processor PJ read. This here the process performing read. So the PJ performing a read. State in PI would be 0 0 and state in PJ would be 1 0. So collectively the state would be 0 0 1 0, which is denoted by this state 2. Sorry. Say this transition 0 to 2. This is effective in this case. Similarly, the state transitions for write operation has been shown for PI write here and PJ write at the right hand side. The state transition diagram for MSI protocol. Hello? Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, audible. We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So here the state transition diagram for the MSI protocol has been mapped with these transitions, effective transitions that has been shown with the CA state transitions. So we can see this this can perfectly match with that of the MSI protocol state transitions. Here we have shown the hardware realization of this CA-based protocol processor. This is for a 2-cell representation. We have shown what is what we have considered over here. Suppose these are the signal lines where there are these signal lines. This might be affected by stuck at 0 or stuck at 1 fault. What is the essence of CA is working over here? In a conventional PP, only this combinational logic of CA doesn't exist for this conventional implementation. So these lines, signal lines, can also be similarly affected by the stuck at faults. But what we are getting over here, due to the combinational logic of the CA, we can ensure some fault tolerance. If some of the signal lines like this is getting affected, but this could be reproduced, the actual value could be reproduced, can be restored by this combinational logic of the CA. So accordingly, we have we can also calculate the percentage of fault tolerance for these protocol processors. But one more important feature of this protocol processor, it can work as a self-correcting protocol processor. I'm explaining this specifically for a write operation. If we consider, see, yeah, what is there? If say while we are computing the next state, we are using the current state as one of the input. Now, if there is some fault in the state recording, or it has been wrongly communicated instead of so if we take an example for a 2-processor system, suppose the state code is 1100 for a block B, and it is performing a write. So 11 representing M, and the 00 is representing I. So it designating that processor P1 is holding the block in modified state, and P2 is holding the block in invalid state. This is the correct combination of state, but suppose it is somehow incorrectly fed to the PP as 1110. Instead of 00, it has been changed to 10. But this is not a correct combination of state. Now, if we run this CA as configured for the write operation, like 2429115 with this CA rules, the CA that we have configured, the ideal transition was from the state 12 to 33. 3 is the correct state after the write operation, that is 0011, as we have assumed processor P2 is performing a write. Now, if wrongly we have, instead of 12, if we have wrongly received this state as 14, Now, if we run the CA for depth of CA time step, we reach to the correct next state. But in this case, to ensure self-correction, we have to run the CA as depth of CA time step. Suppose it was our initial state, this 12 was our initial state and 3 was the correct next state. Instead of 12, if we have wrongly fed to the PP, the wrong state as 14, and the CA configured for this PP, if it is run for depth of CA time step, we would reach to the correct next state. So while we are running this CA during its dynamic evolution, we can it can ensure such type of self-correction. See here, the actual path in the this correct path should be for 12,333. This path, but instead of but in presence of the fault, it might go through this path, but still it is reaching to the same correct state. And since the CA here that we have formed by selecting the rules, most of the cases that final state is the point state attractor, which are the more stable states. And since for write operations, the CA these are formed, these are basically SACA. So hybrid SACA. So if there are any number of faults, instead of 12 here, it could be anything else. But see, all the transitions are leading to the point state attractor, which is the correct final state of the block. So whatever be the number of faults in the input state recording, but the final state is computed correctly. This is the more attractive feature of this PP being designed. So here we have shown some percentage of self-correction. We have, as we have shown in the table earlier, there are a lot of rule options. So you can take any such combinations of rules. Here we have just shown PP design with one rule combination, which we are naming as PP design 1 and PP design 2 as another rule configuration. And we can see these percentage of self-correction depends upon the choice of rules. So here also we can have an option to select appropriate rules which can ensure maximum self-correction. And you see the for read operation, the self-correction is lesser, whereas for write operations, the self-correction is maximum. With PP design 2, it ensures 100% self-correction for write operations. What is the reason behind this? For the read operation, depending upon whether the other processor is a sharer or not, the final attractor state is, there are many number of point states in the resulting CA. But for write operation, as one processor is performing the write, the corresponding attractor state is only one. So it ensures maximum number of self-correction, maximum amount of self-correction. So minimum number of attractors can ensure better self-correction. Accordingly, if we see the rule combination and also the interaction between the rules, from that we can choose appropriate rules which can ensure maximum self-correction. Whatever we have discussed till now about the design of PP, this is for targeting the Snoop-based system, basically. Now we can extend the same concept for a directory-based system also. As of we know, in a directory-based system, with data and tag, the state of the block is stored also stored into the directory. For example, here, we have shown in the system architecture as we have assumed from the very beginning. Let us consider a system of 4 processors. There C1, C2, C3, C4. These are the private caches, and they are sharing the common L2 cache where we store the data and tag, and accordingly in the directory portion we can store the states of the block, in which state which L1 cache is holding the block, in which state information is accordingly stored. Now we can replace this directory entry with such a CA-based PP, wherein this PP can, based on the inputs, it can in place compute the next state of the block. So it can reduce the communication overhead in the same directory structure. It can, by taking the inputs, it can compute the state and update accordingly. So this is the concept of directory. We can use PP in case of a directory-based system. That's all. Here we have discussed cellular automata-based solutions for coherence verification in heterogeneous CMPs, wherein we have shown we have integrated different types of invalidation protocols like MEI, MESI, MOSI, MOSI, etc. Also, we have extended such coherence verification in case of heterogeneous systems which are integrating different invalidation-based and update-based protocols. We have shown how cellular automata can be used in designing a self-correcting protocol processor for chip multiprocessor, which can ensure more secure and PP can easily be fabricated as real hardware for exascale architecture. Like whatever we can do as cellular automata itself ensures more scalability. Whatever we have devised for n number of cores, we can easily extend it for n plus m number of cores. Also, there are open problems. We have also attempted something like we have attempted to design a protocol processor for heterogeneous systems, wherein different processors are employing different coherence protocols also. Hello.
Thank you, ma'am, for the nice speech. Do you have any question? Is anyone having any question?
Okay, Momota, I have a question.
Sir,
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. Would you please be louder?
I have a question. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the solutions you have used for all the solutions, you have used one-dimensional CA, right? So I have
yes,
two
sir.
questions.
One-dimensional, two-state, three-neighborhood CA we have considered.
Okay. So can we have better performance if we increase the dimension and or increase the neighborhood dependency?
Yeah, sir. Neighborhood dependency, if we increase from 3 to 5, it ensures more fault tolerance. In some other aspect, we have checked that we have used 5 neighborhood CA to ensure more fault tolerance.
Okay. And if I use
but other dimensions, I couldn't check. If we increase the dimension, how it would affect.
See, one thing is
I didn't check.
Okay, system you are working with, there is a two-dimensional system, right? I mean, the dimension is not one. So I was thinking that if we could use two-dimensional CA, right, then what would the effect? Yeah, then what would be the effect? So, so that may be checked.
Yes, sir. I didn't yet check.
Okay.
Could be open problem.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you.